Oh, I don't know if we're. Ooh.
Let me see something.
Hold on 1 second. I think Here we go.
There you are.
Ooh. Hold on one. I think bear with me here.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
Oh, shoot. I think I messed something up. Hold on, everybody. Just bear with me. Here we are. Welcome, everybody, tonight. Happy Hump Day. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing great tonight in the Delaware Valley and everywhere around the world. Tonight, we have entrepreneur, motivational speaker, author, the original Philly Phanatic, Mr. Dave Raymond, joins me. Mr. Raymond, thank you for taking your time out tonight. You're scheduled to join me. Welcome to Fuji's Philly Flair. How are you?
I'm doing great, but if I can call you Fuji, you can call me Dave, please.
That's fine. Actually, you know what? At one of your videos, I was talking to you about you said don't ask anybody how they're doing. Tell me something good.
Yeah, well, my something good is my Blue Hens are having a good season. They've stepped up to FBS. They are available to win their conference. If they do, they get recognized as the conference champion for Conference USA.
Nice.
Played pretty well. Lost a tough game to Western Kentucky a couple of weeks ago. They're playing tonight. It's part of their scheduling. You know, they get ESPN. A lot of people will be watching. Playing Jacksonville State. So that's my something good. I'm glad the Blue Hens are playing well because, my gosh, Mike, I think I might be taking Sunday off. I know you might not want to hear that, but a couple of Fridays ago, Delaware lost that game. Then we went to the game.
Right.
What was it? Saturday night to see the Phillies lose. And then they won a game at home and lost the other one. And then the Eagles played, just a bad football game and lost to the Giants. And I said, you know what? I got to take a break.
Not only that, I mean, it was like a trifecta, with the Flyers losing last Thursday. It was just probably one of the darker days of Philly sports in the trifecta. But I'm actually heading out to Minnesota this week.
Oh, great.
For the Eagles game. So I'm going to go out on a limb and, I'll probably take some heat, but I'm going to guarantee and bring home the birds of victory in Minnesota.
All right. So, from your lips to God's ears, and let's make sure Carson doesn't do anything special.
Well, I mean, you go back to where it was bittersweet, the Super Bowl 50. Not only let's go back to the NFC Championship of that game. Eagles beat Minnesota, and they go into U.S. Bank Stadium and win the Super Bowl, and the Vikings right on the home turf. So,
and maybe there's some good pixie dust in that stadium for us.
I think so.
All right, I'm going to listen. I might still stay away. I might go on a golf course, play a little bit of golf, and just see what it's like to not get agitated on a particular Sunday or a Monday night or Thursday night. So just to see what it's like. I'm not saying I'm not giving up. God forbid. As one of the Fanatics' best friends for the last 48 years.
Right.
That's a whole different personality. Dave's personality can be a little bit negative, a little bit anxious, and I grew up as as an anxious, insecure Philadelphia sports fan. I've raised 4 children that are all anxious, insecure Philadelphia fans. So as a father, I guess I did the right thing. But, it just sometimes need a break. So I'm going to take a break. I'm hoping I'll be able to check in on the score and see that they beat the Vikings. And then if they do, great. Then I'm going to be able to watch all the replays and enjoy the whole week.
I wanted to dive in with you. Just, you're a hero of happiness, your book, Power of Fun. You're a motivational speaker. Can you get into a little bit of, like I said, I was trying to get a couple of your videos up just to put out there of, your fire and your passion about,
Well, any of the viewers can just go to DaveRaymondSpeaks.com, and there's all kinds of videos. There's I had a great appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel show with
Right.
Jimmy. I had there's a profile of HBO Real Sports, which really tells a little bit more of a deeper heart of my story. But the bottom line is the Phanatic, and I always tell people that you see the Phanatic and you see what he does, and you kind of discount it, not the value, because everybody loves the Phanatic. It's one of the few characters besides maybe Rocky that just doesn't get booed. No matter what's happening. But he's silly, right? His output is silly, maybe a little snarky silliness, but the superpower is what he does for other people. He shows up and immediately people feel better just because of his presence. His presence lifts people up.
Right.
And fortunately for me, when I started, I was 22 years old. I had no idea what this was going to become. I just said yes to the Phillies because I wanted a full-time job for the Phillies. I had decided I didn't want to follow my dad's footsteps and be a football coach. I wanted to work for the Phillies. And ironically enough, it was my dad who helped me get the first summer internship in '76. So I just went in and decided to be as silly as I could. I thought that was important. And I had this leave it to Beaver life. My dad was an iconic figure in the town I grew up in.
Right.
I was a pretty good athlete. I played baseball and football at Newark High School. I made the all-star team in the state of Delaware. I went on and played for my dad as a kicker, but in high school I was starting wide receiver, the place kicker, and the punter my senior year. So I have this beautiful life, and then I fall into the job as the Phanatic that anybody would raise their hand now and say they'd like to be the Phanatic. But life got hard like it does for everybody. And I lost my mother to cancer. My marriage fell apart at the same time. And frankly, I was thinking about making bad decisions about ending the pain that I was going through. But the beauty of my job, even though I told the Phillies I needed to quit during that bad time, I went out and finished a few appearances before they had the ability to clear my schedule. And I realized that being the Phanatic made me feel better because my personality would float away like an out-of-body experience. I would become the Phanatic. Right. And then people were telling me they loved me and you're the best and give me a hug, take a picture with my grandkids or my kids or my wife or my family. And I realized during that really difficult time when I was thinking about, bad decisions without any thought about permanency, and I wasn't going to share it with anybody, that the Phanatic really saved my life during that time. I realized that's what I needed. I told the Phillies, don't clear my schedule. And for, that particular week turned into a month into years. And what I do on stage is I testify that, number one, we're all going to get the brutality of life to visit us if we live long enough. That's a reality in life. But those times of struggle actually teach us the most. We learn the most, we grow the most. Matter of fact, that I believe spiritually that we're giving challenges because it helps us become the human being we're supposed to. So all of the things I learned by accident, but the beauty of it is this is our reality. We have the brutality of life and we have the good stuff. And we get the good stuff. We should be sucking the marrow out of those times because neither one of them are permanent.
Well, you're right.
Up, we overcome them, we gain some resilience, and then things get beautiful, and we need to balance those things. And the Phanatic taught me this, fortunately saved my life for sure. But now I'm telling everybody, you don't need to be the Phanatic. You just need to do a handful of things daily. You've got to stop asking people to say, how are you doing? Say, tell me something good. Right. You have to be kind. You have to express gratitude. Get some moments to be quiet. Learn a little bit about meditation. Keep yourself physically motivated and healthy. Eat right. Cut down on all the bad things, tobacco, alcohol. Now, all of these things are difficult to do, but if you focus on doing some of these few things daily, you are going to not only boost your mood, but boost the mood of those around you. So my book, The Power of Fun, is all about how the Phanatic saved my life. My motivational speech called The Evolution of Happiness is telling those stories, but also sharing with the audience how they can do it. And Mike, as beautiful as my time was with the Phillies, I believe everything I did in my career has brought me to this point where I should be sharing this message. Being vulnerable, letting people know that, yeah, I was thinking about making bad choices. And that's what happens to people. They're in that moment. They don't share it with anybody. So the only difference between telling me something good being great is when you think somebody's struggling. Then you say, how are you doing? And when they blow off the answer, say, no, I really want to know how you're doing. if people just do those simple things, thinking about who in their network might be struggling and going and talking to them and giving them the opportunity to share. If that sharing occurs, either when you're struggling, somebody gets you to be honest, or you get somebody else to be honest, you actually save people's lives. The idea of people deciding to take their own lives is in a very dark place where they're not sharing. But it takes one person to go to them and say, look, I care about you. I think something's going on. Will you share with me what's happening? Those things will put those bad decisions in a pause mode where you can help them. And that's really what my main message is about, is that we can make the world a better place. We can save some lives. And that I was just fortunate enough to learn it from a giant green furry Muppet.
Well, I can relate to it because I lost my mother 2 years ago suddenly to septic shock. And
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And one of your videos I did watch were, I believe it was the day after your mom passed of brain cancer. You said, you went out as the fanatic. You didn't want to do it, but you just went out, and the day just turned out to be good for you. And you just put on a positive attitude and just went out and did the job. And it's like you didn't have mentally, physically, I'm sure you were in shock, but you just put it aside and you just went out and did it. And
you described that so well. It was truly about 4 weeks after my mom's memorial service that happened, because then that's when my marriage fell apart right after that. And that's when I really, went into the depth of hopelessness. Right. But you described it really well. And here's the message inside of that. I had this personality disappearance too, that took me away from the pain.
Right.
So for those of you who are struggling, certainly getting a clinician to help you is important. Some people who are clinically depressed need that. But if you're going through a bad patch, what you have to realize that you need to figure out anything at all that can just disrupt that pain for a few minutes. And it's different for other people. Some people like to read. Right. Some people want to go for a jog. Some people want to go meet somebody that they go meet a good friend that they know. Every time they get together with that friend, they laugh. So just looking for simple things that make you smile, laugh, or take away, a flow state. You can go pull weeds. And for some people, the act of pulling weeds and getting them out of the lawn puts them in a flow state. It could be playing pickleball, for gosh sakes. That's something I've fallen in love with lately. But at the worst of times, you have to figure out a way to get a few minutes, just a breath or two of getting away from that pain. Caregivers need care. So people can't just keep giving all of themselves to care for somebody who's ill or struggling. They need to get away from that, even though they feel guilty because the person they're caring for can't get away from that. But they can provide that break by talking to them, by telling them something that would make them laugh. And I think it's all about recognizing, taking your focus off yourself and recognizing the people around you and people that you love the most and care about the most. See how they're doing. Tell me something good's a great way to get a conversation going when things are in a normal state. But what you really want to make sure when you think people are struggling is do your best to make them be trustworthy of you and let them come out of their feeling of not wanting to share and share it. All the people that deal with suicidal ideation and how to prevent it talk about finding somebody that you can talk to, or you reaching out to somebody that you think is struggling. Those are simple things to do. And then when things are better in life, you just need to be kind and express gratitude.
Right.
Keep your mind fresh, try new things. And whatever it is that you decide fits for you, then you have to do it daily. And then if you practice that and get good at it, when the tough times come again, you're going to have a recipe to be able to help you overcome that and build the resilience that comes from overcoming challenges.
Well, that's what I always say, before my show's over. You don't know what somebody, having a bad day, could be struggling. Some people may snap, not intentionally, and you don't know what anybody's going through today. And I know you did a video last week about mental illness health day?
Yeah, it was mental health day. It was the end of our horrible week.
Right.
And I was just I was saying, listen, this was a tough week. for us Philadelphia fans, but it wasn't trying to equate that. And I said, this isn't equating to the real struggles of life, but it is an analogy that you say that when you've gone through a tough time, you got to take a break. You got to move away from it. That's why I said I'm going on a month break from sports, and I'm about 2 weeks in, and I've stayed away from WIP radio. They're a client of mine. I want everybody to listen, but every now and then you just need to take a break from that rhetoric. And sometimes the mean-spirited things you hear from callers. And I just, I'm going to watch the Blue Hens tonight because it's more of a casual love of a brand because of my dad.
Alma mater.
Yeah. I mean, so I can do that. And I don't get angry when I watch the Blue Hens play. I get really angry when I watch the Eagles play and they don't play well. I get disappointed when the Phillies lose, even during the regular season. And this was real painful again for the third year in a row that, the players just didn't show up like we all believed they should. And as Philadelphia fans, we say that right away. Top guys in our lineup, in the last few games didn't do what they're supposed to do. They know it. We know it. And I just needed to take a break. And I think that's a good lesson for us when we're struggling with something, even if it's maybe more trivial, like being upset with our sports stars, but even that can show you, look, you take a break from it, you get back to it, you're going to appreciate it more.
Very true. I wanted to get into your Raymond Entertainment Group. You have over 130 mascots. You started a mascot hall of fame, a mascot boot camp. Can you get into a little bit about
I think the whole reason why I left the Phillies was a couple of things. One, just case law doesn't allow somebody like me, who is a creator of a personality that's owned by the entity that hires you. You're never going to own any rights in that character. So from a clinical, legal and financial perspective, I knew when I decided not to be involved in being the Phanatic's best friend anymore, I wasn't going to have any leverage for pay or benefits. And not that the Phillies didn't treat me well, they really did. But I made a decision to leave well before I was done working in costume because I wanted to figure out how to do it for myself. With which some partners, I did that about 7 years. And then I started Raymond Entertainment in 2000 because I wanted to share with other entities how you can create what we call a character brand. A mascot is a performer inside a character costume, and it is a vitally important part of a character brand. But a character brand encompasses everything involved in promoting that character and the brand that character represents. So there's imagery, there's videos, there's social media channels, there's merchandise, there is community good, there are efforts to raise money and to make your community better. All of these things don't require a person to be in costume at every place. It just requires the organization to care and build like a living, breathing entity. And we call that programming character branding. You are branding who you are and what you live for and what you breathe through the life of a character. That's what the Phillies did. And so I went out since 2000 and up till today, helping the organizations that want to create a character branding program that is going to be the biggest marketing benefit that they could ever invest in. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, we just want to create a costume and have somebody stand on the street corner outside our shop and spin a sign, I refer them to people that I know that can build costumes. I only get involved with clients now because I have an opportunity of have some relative success, so I don't have to worry about saying yes to a client because of the revenue. So I look at a client, have a series of questions, and I go, oh, you don't need me. You should go and talk to the people that I know that can maybe design a character for you and build a costume. What I want to do is help clients build a program that's going to last well beyond their lifespan. I know the Phanatic's going to be around for the next 100 years, maybe even more, because of how beautiful of a character that was created by an organization that loves and cares for the Phanatic as a living, breathing entity or a living, breathing brand extension. And that's what I've been doing with RaymondEG.com. That's where we do all of our mascot development. And frankly, I don't even really promote or market that much, Fuji, because people just will come to me because of my background and my expertise and my success in that regard. And it's a beautiful time in my life. I'm going to be 70 in February. Like I said,
God
I'm
bless
getting
you.
involved in pickleball. I'm pretending like I'm retired, but I don't want to retire because I believe that what I'm supposed to be doing is getting on stage and delivering this message of hope and love and kindness. And that's really what I love doing the most. So if anybody that listens to this show is looking for somebody to come and lift people up and through stagecraft and nonverbal communication and presentation skills, go to DaveRaymondSpeaks.com and check out how we can help you. And the last thing, we're just about to roll out online happiness training. That's only going to cost $78 per student. There's a specific reason why it's $78, and people who are big Fanatics fans will understand why it's $78.
Right.
Maybe Fuji, you can work it out.
April 25th, 1978.
That's correct. So for $78, you can take what is truly a 6-week program to learn how to build sustainable happiness in your life. Nice. That will roll out very soon. It'll be on our website. We're putting up the training tab now. I would say in the next couple of weeks, we will be ready to roll that out. And we encourage people who don't have big bank accounts, people that don't have a big company behind them that's going to bring us in to do training live, like Odyssey Radio has done, and like AstraZeneca and many other companies have brought us in. This is for the individual who can cobble together $78 and then get one of the best courses they could ever take. So we're looking forward to doing that as well.
I wanted to ask you, I want to go back to probably the 80s now. Can you get into the Tommy Lasorda situation?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get asked that a lot, but
oh yeah, we call it the Lasorda factor, Fuji. I joke when we talk about the Lasorda factor, I say if I'm up on stage and we're ready to start a Q&A, I could say to the audience, listen, I can tell you the secret to cure all cancer in the world, but all you have to do is ask me that first. Once you ask me, I'm going to be able to tell you how to cure all cancers. And the first person raised their hand and said, was Tommy Lasorda really mad at you?
Right.
So it trumps everything. Because it's a 4 million views on YouTube and showing Tommy kind of losing his mind, because the simple answer to all of that story, which sometimes could take me 20 minutes to tell if I told you all the context of it, but the bottom line is Tommy was really okay with it. He loved playing with the Fanatic. He was always mean.
Right.
That was part of what he did. He was mean and snarky and profane, and his players loved it when they saw Tommy go crazy on the Fanatic. But on that particular day, just so happened that he was in a weight loss regimen with Oral Hershiser that was being promoted by Slim Fast. He had come to Philadelphia when his team was not doing very well. Late in the season, he hadn't had pasta for a few weeks, and he had kept the Fanatic, his jersey, away from the Fanatic by just only bringing one Lasorda jersey on the road when he went to Philly. He figured that's the way. Somebody's getting him another jersey. I'm only wearing one. So after the first day they came and I realized I didn't have his jersey, I went out the next day, bought one, and had an embroidery person put Lasorda, came out on the dummy, and he flipped out.
Wow.
But, I would see him out of costume, and the first thing he would say to me, many, many times I see him in a social setting, and he would come up to me or I would say hello to him, and he said, "Hey, how's your dad doing?" Which I really appreciated that, because from Norristown, he knew my dad's history and being, that combined understanding of what it's like to have to coach and manage. And I always appreciated that. And then he would look at me, and of course, Tommy always had an entourage. And he would point a finger at me, and he would be saying to his entourage, "You see that guy over there? He's lucky he's alive." And then he would tell the same story that I've told for years about meeting me in Japan when Major League Baseball had a 6-week tour of Japan with an American League and National League All-Star team. And he happened to be the manager for the National League All-Star team. And the Fanatic came along as the de facto mascot of Major League Baseball in America. And we toured Japan, and he just had a blast smacking me, tripping me, having fun with me, in a nasty form. And the Japanese fans loved it. And I think that was in 1979. And after that, every time he came to Philadelphia, he just kept playing the villain.
Right.
And he was enjoying doing it. And then it got to the point where he didn't like the Fanatic, defaming the Dodger uniform. And so on this particular day, he went out and went nuts. And he did punch me, and he almost knocked the Fanatic's head off. So
wow.
Go look at the video. Just Lasorda excuse me, Lasorda versus the Phanatic. That's all you have to do to find that.
Didn't you have skits also with Deion Sanders and Steve Sachs?
Yeah, well, Steve was the one that got me the jersey.
Oh, okay, the Lasorda jersey. All right,
but there was always a prime time on every baseball team, so I would always try to search that player out, tell him what I was going to do,
right.
Because there are many times that if I did that, you say ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission. But I found it better to ask for permission, because if that person said no, there'd be somebody else that would want to do something with me. And I started having relationships with players on other teams that would actually come to Philadelphia with ideas for a skit or a routine. And, that was beautiful for me, because I didn't have to do any work. They'd show up with a prop. They'd tell me what they wanted to do.
Right.
Sometimes I would always have to let them get the best of me, but it was always funny. And so having the players befriend me, and I never really focused on the Philadelphia players. I didn't want to bother them. But off the scenes, I became very good friends with many of them. I mean, Tug McGraw was one of my close friends. Darren Dalton actually came to my bachelor party, and many other players in between, from Jay Johnstone, all the way to Mike Schmidt and everybody in between, and Darren and John Kruk. All those guys treated me like I was part of those teams. And being a former athlete and somebody who knew I wasn't going to be good enough to play professional sports at a pretty early age, because I was small and slow, to be able to feel like a member of those teams because of the way they treated me. Pete Rose is one of the nicest people on the planet to me. And I'll never forget that. And that really enhanced the fun and beauty of my job, was to be friendly with them, and and see all the flaws. I mean, these aren't these are human beings, right? And they're making mistakes. And but I kept that with myself. I didn't share. I didn't ask them for autographs. I mean, gosh, my autograph collection would have been worth a lot of money if I had spent time doing that. Big time. I just didn't. I didn't do it because it would put me in another category with them. I wanted to be friendly with them. I wanted to get to know them. I got to know a lot of their wives, because they were fundraising for the Phillies. ALS, yeah. And the Phanatic helped them do made a lot of their events fun. And so it was a real pleasure. That was the best part of my job of those 16 years, was to get to know those people and become friends with the players. There's nothing like that.
What was it like? Can you get into 1980? I mean, I'm sure that had to be the old.
Well, the costume, there's only one costume. So I can tell you one thing, that the Phanatic did not smell very good in that parade. I guess by 1980 we probably had another costume, but we were doing. I was doing the 82 home games, and 300 plus appearances a year, and then I had a backup performer who was doing another 300 or 400. So we were pushing between 800 and 1,000 outside appearances, plus 82 games. For all my 16 years, nobody else did a game but me. I missed 4 games in that tenure, and the Phanatic just didn't show up. 3 of them were when my mom passed away, and the other 2 was when I was recovering from pneumonia. So they were on the road. I went to the hospital on the road. I had pneumonia, pretty bad bout of it. I stayed in the hospital, took intravenous antibiotics, and I wasn't in the best physical shape, but I went out, and actually helped me get better, I think, now that I look back on it. But yeah, the Phanatic was coughing a little bit.
Right.
So maybe people thought that I was struggling, and I was, but it's amazing how much work there was. So in 80, actually, when I got to the parade setup, Mr. Giles had come to me and said, "Hey, okay, we're going to have you bring the Phanatic and be on the flatbed with the players." And they had set up chairs up on top of the flatbed, and everyone was going to be in these kind of like little cubicles of that flatbed where the families and everybody was there. And I said, "Oh no, Mr. Giles, you don't want me there because the costume smells so bad. I mean, it smells like a toilet right now. I'm not going to be up there in the middle of the wives, and the kids are going to be like, get out of my way." So he actually put me at the end of the parade on a flatbed all by myself. So
nice.
It was the most amazing position to be in, because to look at over those, they were saying 500,000 people, all following the parade to JFK Stadium. It was the hardest I've ever worked. I really thought I was going to pass out a few times. I had a little place that I could sneak in and get a little drink, and then would bring the Phanatic back out. And I think that's one of my most fond memories, beyond doing all the great community service things and, helping families get over some really difficult times by showing up and surprising them. That was all wonderful, but and those are the times that I cherish the most. But for me personally, as a sports fan, being a part of the 1980 parade, the first World Series victory, sat on the bench for the National League Championship Series against Houston, sat on the bench during the World Series when we were on the road. That was an amazing. I have 2 World Series balls, one of them which I believe is the last World Series ball because it was a ball that Tug McGraw signed and gave to my mother. And it has the World Series logo on it. Mm-hmm. It's all mudded up. It was in play. Wow. And, Tug's family told me later after he passed away that they didn't find any World Series balls in his possession anywhere. Wow. And he gave this to my mom in early spring of 1981. And it says,
that was really nice of him.
Yep. And that would be like Tug, that he's going to give that ball and not tell anybody where the ball was.
I actually had the honor of meeting Tug McGraw in December of 1980. He was, I believe my godmother worked somewhere and he was taking pictures. And I just ended up meeting him. Matter of fact, I think it was December 1980, definitely. And, he made an appearance and just a very, very nice man and, very down to earth, very sociable.
Yeah, he knew how to make you feel special.
Oh, just talking like how you and I are right now.
Yeah, he was great. He was great at that. Hey, and interesting enough, on November 1st, my wife and I are going down to Hard Rock Hotel to see Tim McGraw in concert. It'll be the first time I've seen him perform live, so I'm really looking forward to that.
That should be a great show. I know his song he dedicated to Tug, "Live Life Like You Were Dying."
Yeah,
and Tug always his MO is you got to believe. And
yep. I have a sign down there. I actually have his gold glove from the Rawlings Gold Glove Trophy because really? I just happened to be in the clubhouse sitting with him in his locker when Rawlings came and delivered delivered his trophy. And if you've ever seen those, and I don't know if they're the same now, but there were 2 places for baseballs to sit in the middle. There was an actual spray painted gold glove, and it's their glove.
Wow.
And when he got the award, he said to the rep from Raleigh, he said, "This isn't my game glove. This is my batting practice glove." And he said, "Okay, we'll make the change. Do you have, what is your actual game day glove?" He said, "Yeah." He gave it to them, and then he pulled the one off the trophy and flipped it, and he said, "Here, you can have it." I still have that in my basement in a memory box. So pretty cool to have what I think is the last ball from the World Series and his gold glove. It's cool.
that was like really awesome that he did that for your mom.
Yeah. Because she was deaf, he really enjoyed meeting her, obviously through me and our relationship, and met my dad, was kind to my dad too. My dad taught me how to throw my first curveball because I was left-handed.
Same here.
Couldn't break. Oh, we could have a heartbeat and maybe be able to pitch in the major leagues. And that's what Tug used to tell me. He said, he liked my curveball. And so I always, think it's ironic and a wonderful memory that it was my father who taught me how to throw the curveball. And that was, not only did it help me as a pitcher until I hurt my shoulder in high school and couldn't pitch anymore, it got me to meet Tug McGraw. He loved the fact I was left-handed. A few years after we met, he said, if on that day that I saw you were left-handed and you threw a good curveball, if you told me that you drank Jameson whiskey, I would have married you.
I know. Coincidentally, back to your mom. I mean, my mom was deaf. She lost her hearing at 3 years old.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she could read lips. She had a hearing aid, but that lost her hearing to tinnitus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah. Tonight. I can never say it right. I don't think. I think it's. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows it because everybody has ringing in their ears.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she had, and she would get it. And
yeah, people can get it worse. My mom had Meniere's.
So did my mom too.
Yeah, and that becomes a nerve loss. That's why hearing aids help but you can't hear words. It amplifies some sounds. And that's why you have to read lips.
Right.
And the thing that I talk about on stage is my mom gave me the skill set because she went deaf when I was 3. She gave me a skill set of nonverbal communication that I never understood I had it and never knew that was going to be great value for it.
Right.
And the value was to help me create this personality that's become the Phanatic. And the Phanatic was around to save me from the brutality of watching my mom lose her life to cancer. It's phenomenal when I think about it in those terms and how amazing that life can work at times.
I definitely have, certain, similarities. Both of our mothers, God have mercy on both of them.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you went through that, but I do know
thank you.
The beauty of life is that I think so fondly of my mom now. I'm over that pain. There's a lot of pain.
No,
it
definitely.
was devastating for me, but now I just am lifted up every time I talk about her, every time, because I get to testify about her on stage. Right. And that's just really, I was worried about doing that because until somebody told me, no, you need to be vulnerable. You need to tell your story and be vulnerable because it's going to help people. And that's come back in so much value of people getting something out of the message because they can relate like you can.
All right. Definitely. Well, Mr. Dave, I'd like to have you back on. I know you want to get to your
Blue Hens.
Not just you, my daughter. I know.
Yeah, she's a junior.
She's watching. Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate what you do, my friend. I think this is great.
Thank you. Like
happy
I
to
said,
be a return guest. I'd be happy to
I'd love to just dive into more stuff, and I know you want to get to that game with Jacksonville State, but I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate everybody. I want to send a shout out to my man Alan on my other show for tuning in, saying what's up, fellas. I didn't get a chance to acknowledge him. Thanks, Alan. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good week. We'll get the Birds back up. I'm going to bring back a win.
You've guaranteed it.
And if not, I'll eat crow, I guess. And, I want to thank everybody, whoever's tuning in, watching the replay. Hey, if anybody's out there, reach out. Everybody's going through a struggle. Yeah. Just reach out to a friend, a family member, anybody. Just make sure they're okay. Again, I want to thank you, Mr. Raymond, for coming on.
Thanks
for your time, and thanks, and love to have you back. And
I'll be back. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Same here. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night and be safe. Go Birds, and have a good weekend.
Go Birds.